Ladies and gentlemen, John Lithgow.
To present the National Book Award for Poetry in the presence of John Ashbery is Elizabeth Alexander. Elizabeth's most recent book is Crave Radiance, New and Selected Poems, 1990 to 2010. She is the author of 5 previous books of poetry, including American Sublime, which was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, and 2 books of essays, including The Black Interior. Her awards and honors include the Anisfield Wolf Lifetime Achievement in Poetry Award, the Jackson Poetry Prize, and a Guggenheim Fellowship, among many others. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce Elizabeth Alexander.
First, I want to say just thank you to the National Book Foundation for its continued support of poetry. Every poem, every book of poetry carries voices and histories and traditions along with it. Each book of poems takes a reader into an engulfing, discrete world of language, yet each also rises from ancestral voices, fellow poets and poems, strange musics converging in the present ear. We think our 5 beloved books speak across time. We think that each gives us a snapshot of American noise, a sip, a taste, a quaff, a feast. Our work was very hard. I'm so proud to have worked with judges of such intelligence, heart, and integrity. We didn't turn from difficult conversations, I promise you. We listened to and learned from each other. We came up with a list of 5 that we feel gloriously represents the brilliance of American poetry today. And so I want to sincerely thank my fellow judges, Thomas Sayers Ellis, Amy Gerstler, Kathleen Graber, and Roberto Tejada. And so finally, we had to choose. The 5 finalists are Nikky Finney, Head Off and Split, Tri-Quarterly, an imprint of Northwestern University Press, Yusef Komanyaka, The Chameleon Couch, Farrar, Straus, and Giroux, Carl Phillips, Double Shadow, Farrar, Straus, and Giroux, Adrian Rich, Tonight No Poetry Will Serve, Poems 2007 to 2010, W.W. Norton, and Bruce Smith, Devotions, University of Chicago Press. The National Book Award for Poetry goes to Nikky Finney, Head Off and Split.
We begin with history. The Slave Codes of South Carolina, 1739. A fine of $100 and 6 months in prison will be imposed for anyone found teaching a slave to read or write, and death is the penalty for circulating any incendiary literature. The ones who longed to read and write but were forbidden, who lost hands and feet, were killed by laws written by men who believed they owned other men. Words devoted to quelling freedom, insurgency, imagination, all hope. What about the possibility of one day making a poem? The king's mouth and the queen's tongue, arranged to perfection on the most beautiful paper, sealed with wax and palmetto tree sap, determined to control what can never be controlled, the will of the human heart to speak its own mind. Tonight, these forbidden ones move around the room as they please. They sit at whatever table they want, wear camel-colored field hats and tomato-red kerchiefs. They are bold in their Sunday go-to-meeting best. Their cotton croaker sack shirts are black washpot clean and irreverently not tucked in. Some have even come in white Victorian collars and bustiers. Some have just climbed out of the cold, wet Atlantic just to be here. We shiver together. If my name is ever called out, I promised my girl poet self, so too would I call out theirs. Two, Parnisha Jones, Marianne Jankowski, Northwestern University Press. This moment has everything to do with how serious, how gorgeous you do what you do. A.J. Verdell, editor partner in this language life, you taught me that repetition is holy. Courage can be a daughter's name, and two is stronger than one. Papa, chief opponent of the death penalty in South Carolina for 50 years, 57 years married to the same Newberry girl. When I was a girl, you bought every incendiary dictionary, encyclopedia, and Black history tome that ever knocked on our Oakland Avenue door. Mama, dear Mama, Newberry girl, 57 years married to the same Smithfield boy. You made Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthdays out of foil, lace, cardboard, paper mache, insisting beauty into our deeply segregated Southern days. Adrienne Rich, Bruce Smith, Yusef Komonyaka, Carl Phillips, simply to be in your finalist company is to brightly burn. National Book Foundation and National Book Award judges. There were special high school English teachers who would read and announce the highly anticipated annual report even if it was stowed way down deep in some dusty corner of our tiny Southern newspaper. Dr. Gloria Wade Gales, great and best teacher of my life. You asked me on a Friday, 4 o'clock, 1977. I was 19 and sitting on a Talladega College wall, dreaming about the only life I ever wanted, that of a poet. Miss Finney, you said, do you really have time to sit there? Have you finished reading every book in the library? Dr. Katie Cannon, what I heard you say once haunts every poem that I write. Black people, you said, were the only people in the United States ever explicitly forbidden to become literate. I am now officially speechless.
Well, there's going to be 2 more acceptance speeches tonight, and I don't want you 2 winners to be intimidated. But that was the best acceptance speech for anything that I've ever heard in my life. It's also the loudest I've heard anyone cheer for an award for poetry. Isn't that wonderful?